Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this Coaching-Infused Conversation. So I'm Christelle Soto-Suarez. I'm the founder of Pistachio Cassis Coaching, and I call myself a self-leadership awakener. Now, my mission is to inspire, support, and empower mid-level professionals, especially those who feel stuck, overlooked, on autopilot, and to empower them to take small but meaningful actions toward that better life, better career they dream of, and to do that on their own terms. Now, what I'm doing today with this coaching infused conversation is like a free food sample, is to allow you to experience my coaching style and to do that in a format that allows you to listen to it, to watch it whenever you want, without feeling the pressure of participating live, while still providing you with a space to pause, to reflect, to reflect, and to look at your challenges from a different perspective, while letting your mind wander when it hears unexpected questions or requests. And the goal of this session is for you to leave with one action. So an action designed by you for you to do today so that you get started on your goal, moving forward to what it is you want to achieve. Now, obviously, feel free to share comments in the chat. I will keep an eye on them if it wants to work today. And yes, so first of all, let me set the scene. And I'm sure you have a busy life. So imagine you're taking a break from this busy life and you're lost in your thoughts. I'm sure that happens, if not often, at least from time to time. And today's, your thoughts remind you that, your life might be okay, but it feels like it's missing something. Like when you have a ready-made meal, some of them are very good, but they still don't have the twist and the flavors that make it your favorite dish. And you wonder what your life would be like if it was like your favorite dish, if it has those twists and those flavors that you just love. So that's what we're going to explore today. So first of all, normally when I do those conversations, I do not have slides going up, but today I'm using a visual tool. So I'm using slides. And okay, now don't worry, I am not going to ask you to fill out everything on the slide. Today, ideally, if you could do 3 of them, that would be great. That would really get your reflection going. Okay, so let's start with, what do you want in your life? What's your dream life? Now, it's whatever is coming up to your mind, right? And it's okay if it's vague. It's okay if it's short term or long term, or you're not quite sure where it is. It's sometime in the future. It's okay if it's incomplete or if it feels a bit odd. It's whatever comes up to your mind. So for me, for example, at that stage in my life, what I dream of is a life that is more on the simpler and relaxing side, not all the time, of course. A life that still offers me a lot of experiences while still providing me with a good level of comfort and security. So that is what I see my life in just a few words, of course. So what about you? What is coming up to your mind when you think of the life you would like to have? Just let your mind wander. Don't try to control it. Whatever comes up, make a note of it. Okay. Now let's look at, if that dream life was one of your favorite dishes, what would that be? So, for example, for me, one of my favorite dish is a mixed salad made of Belgian endives, walnuts, apple, and blue cheese with a beautiful vinaigrette. And then I like to prepare it while listening to a podcast. And I like eating it with a few friends around while we're chatting and we're having a glass of wine. And that's the whole atmosphere. So when you dream of your life, when you think of your dream life, what dishes come up? And don't, whatever comes up, we're having fun here. And this is also about letting your mind, as I said, letting your mind wander, see where it goes. So what type of dish is coming up for you? Just have fun with that, basically. Take a moment to do that. If you're rewatching, of course, don't hesitate to pause the recording while you do that. Okay, now let's look at the next. How could you relate the different elements and ingredients of your favorite dish or your dream dish to your life? And again, don't look for logic into how you relate things. It's just whatever comes up. So for me, for example, the Belgium endives would represent finances. So even though I'm not looking at making millions of dollars and being very, very rich, finances are very important to me because I am not ready to make everything from scratch. And it's a way for me to have the life, the security, and the comfort that I'm looking for. Now, if I look at another element, the walnuts, for example, for me, they represent creativity, especially writing. This is a dream of mine to do more writing. And a third element for today, for me, is the blue cheese. And blue cheese represent well-being in my life. So when I mean well-being, yes, I'm referring to massage, to time in nature, but also to mental health and mindset. So a very big, I put a lot of things in what I called well-being for me. So what about you? How could you relate ingredients or elements of your favorite dish, that dish you dream of, to your life? And as I said, don't look for specific logic. It's whatever comes up to your mind. Again, have fun with that connection between food and your life. Okay, now let's look at the present, your life now. Or should I say our life now? What are we, what's the dish we're eating now? What's the quality of it? What's good? What's missing? Maybe something there's too much of, etc. So for me, if I look at the Belgium endives, for example, the one I'm getting here are pretty good. They're not as good as the one from my mum's garden, but they're pretty good. And it really means that I'm satisfied with the state of my finances. Could be better, of course, but I'm satisfied with it. Now, if I look at the walnuts, for some reason, there's barely any. I barely put any walnuts in my mixed salad at the moment. And that really represents for me the fact that, yes, I am doing some writing, but it's mostly work related. So it's not quite the creative writing that I dream of. And the third element that I'm using today is a blue cheese. And right now I'm using kind of a low quality blue cheese. It's not quite having the impact I wanted to have on my dish. And really that transfer into, yes, I am doing some well-being activities. I am doing some massages. I am spending time in nature. But that doesn't really have the impact I want on my whole life. So this is how I look at my life now, at the dish I'm eating, to use a metaphor that I'm using for this conversation. So now, how about you? When you look at your favorite dish and when you look at that dish as it is now, what's the state of it? What is pretty good, what is too much of, what is not enough, what is low quality, etc. And just again, the whole point is to let your mind explore this new perspective. So take maybe a minute or two, don't hesitate to pause and think a little bit about it. And notice what's coming up to your mind too. So now we've looked at our dream life, our dream dish. We've looked at how it is now. Let's decide briefly, whatever is top of mind, what's the first element or ingredient that we want to improve in our life. So that could be the one that you're the most attracted to, or that can be the easiest to improve. Or maybe it's related to an emergency you're going through at the moment. Just make sure it is your choice. That is very important. So for me, what's coming up, the first ingredient that I want to improve, the first one that comes up to my mind is my blue cheese. Because for me, the blue cheese is that ingredient that brings, I would say, spark to my dish. It makes it different to other mixed salad made with Belgium endives. And if I relate that to my life, it means that my well-being, in my dream, my well-being, spreads through all the different parts of my life. It impacts everything. And this is the one I want to improve first. This is the one that I feel I need to do something about it first so that I can get that feeling of it spreads through my life. It's not just one category. So that is my vision. Now, how about you? What is that first ingredient or element of your favorite dish that you want to improve? Don't think too much about it. Just whatever is top of your mind. Make a note of that. Okay. Now let's do a bit of brainstorming. And ideally, so let's look, we've picked that one ingredient. Now let's look at what it is we can do to improve that ingredient. So when I say what it is we can do, I'm not talking about doing it now. This is actions you can do maybe sometime in the future. Maybe right now you are just not ready to take that action. That's fine. Maybe you don't have the knowledge or the resources or the time to do that action. That is fine. Right now, what I'd like you to do is brainstorm very quickly 3 actions you could do to improve that element, that ingredient that you've selected. So, for example, for me, having selected the blue cheese, well, I'm French, if you haven't guessed from my accent, and we have some beautiful blue cheese in France. Now, I'm in Canada, so I don't get the same one, but one action I could do, I could get cheese from France, get the best one from France, should I say. Now, in terms of my life, that would translate into having a routine that incorporate quite a few well-being practices through the day. And this is something I would do all the time. Another action that I can do is to actually try out different blue cheese that are readily available in the stores near where I live. And for me, that would translate in my life in trying out different well-being practices, for example. And a third action I could do would be to go to a specialty cheese shop. There's a few over here and see what they have. So in terms of my life, I would say that would translate into maybe joining a mindset program, something like this. So those are some of the actions I could do to improve the ingredient that I selected. Now, how about you? When you look at that ingredient or element that you've selected that you want to improve first, what actions could you do sometime in the future? So don't restrict yourself to what you think you can do. Just be very open. Those are just ideas. They are not actions that you have to do right now. Just see whatever comes up top of your mind, because very often we do know what we need to do to get what we want. The issue is more in the doing. But right now we are not looking at the doing, we're looking at getting ideas. And as I said, try to get 3 of those actions. Okay. Now let's move on and let's pick one of those actions we've just identified and let's look at what it is we can do about it today. Now I'm saying today because it means it's got to be a small action if you have to do it today and you haven't prepared for it. It also means that you have everything you need to take the action. You don't need to do additional research. You don't need to speak to somebody. You don't need to book something. It's an action that you have everything you need to do. And the other reason I'm saying today is that it's increase the likelihood of you doing the action. If I say sometime in the next week or so, then life will take over, things will happen, and you are more likely not to do the action. Okay, so if I go back to my own example, so I'm taking the action of trying out different blue cheese in the stores around me, which I said translate in my life into trying out different well-being practices. Now, what can I do today? Well, today I remember that I recently read a book that I really liked about around well-being, around mindset. And I know the author has a website and offers other services or product around that. So what I can do today is, while I take a coffee break, I can Google that author, find their website, and look at what they offer, for especially newsletter, because that would allow me to get something on a regular basis in my inbox, and that would be the start of hopefully doing other things around well-being, giving me new ideas. So this is what I can do, and as you can see, this is something simple. I have everything I need right now. It's not scary. It's a very basic activity, action, but it gets me started, and that's the whole point. Now, let's say I'm very busy today and I don't have time to take that coffee break to do that. Well, maybe I can just look at my calendar and schedule it for later on, maybe later this week or at the weekend, something like this. Or if I'm really, really busy and I don't even have the time to look at my calendar, or maybe my calendar is not clear at the moment, I can at least take my phone and schedule a reminder, put a reminder in my phone to look at that later on. So you can always do something, even if it's just, like I said, setting up a reminder. It is doing something, and that means it's better than doing nothing. So now, when you think of the action you selected, you want to start to work on, what can you do about it today? Make sure this is something you can do today, that you have the time, you have the resources you need, you have everything. And as I said, if it's just a matter of setting up a reminder somewhere, it's better than nothing. So what is coming up to your mind? What can you do about this action today? Now, imagine you're doing that one action that you've decided today. And then next week, you do another one and another one. And you keep taking action. And the small action becomes slightly bigger. And maybe the weekly action becomes twice a week, 3 times a week. And you keep going. And you get to the end of the year, which is now only in 3 months' time, as this is early October 2025. And you look at all that you've achieved. You've improved that one ingredient so much. Maybe you've even moved on to another ingredient. Who knows? Can you visualize that? How do you feel when you see all the progress that you've made? What has changed in your life? Have a feel for that. Take a moment to imagine that. And now, what would be the cost to you of doing nothing? Where you get to the end of the year and you're in the same situation than you're in right now. How do you feel about it? What hasn't changed that is still stressing you? And now, which of those two versions, so the one where you keep taking actions and the one where you don't, which of those two versions of you do you prefer? Now, if you prefer the one where you are taking action, how do you keep going? How do you increase your odds of success? Because I think we all know that it is very hard for us human beings to just keep the momentum going, to keep taking action on our own. So the answer to that is accountability. It's that support system that keep pushing you basically to keep going, to keep, first of all, to keep doing the reflection, to keep deciding on an action to take, and to keep pushing you, nudging you to take that action that you've decided. So first of all, you can sign up for my free accountability bonus. You've got the QR code on the screen here. And that accountability bonus is a series of 3 messages that will remind you of today's conversation, that will remind you of that one action you decided to take, and that will nudge you in taking the action. Now, you can also get what's called an accountability partner. Yes, somebody like me, a coach. And if that's something you're curious about, you don't have to be to have decided that you need a coach, but just if you're curious about it, feel free to schedule a free call with me and we can discuss what we could do together. And of course, feel free to visit my website and check out my upcoming events, especially the interactive one where you get to share and hear from others. Okay. And I will put that in the links too. Okay. So now I would like you to take a moment before going back to life. I'd like you to take a moment to reflect a little bit on what you got out of this coaching infused conversation, out of this reflection. You know, did you get any insight, any new perspective? Maybe how do you feel about the element that you decided to improve on, and how do you feel about the action you've decided to take? And very importantly, how will you celebrate taking that one action? So not waiting for the result, but just taking the action to acknowledge that you did something for yourself today. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this reflection. I hope you got some new insights, ideas, that it made your mind wander into new places. I wish that you have a good day, and I hope to see you soon at one of my other events. So thank you very much for listening to me today.